A clear, neutral explanation of the legal standards governing use of deadly force by U.S. federal officers applied to situations like the Minneapolis ICE shooting. This focuses on law, not politics. Legal standards for use of deadly force by federal officers. U.S. 1. Constitutional Standard, Supreme Court. The controlling legal framework comes from the Fourth Amendment and two key Supreme Court cases. Tennessee v. Garner, 1985. Deadly force is only justified when the officer has probable cause to believe the suspect poses a significant threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or others. Shooting is not allowed merely to stop escape. Graham v. Connor, 1989. Use of force must be objectively reasonable, judged from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene, without hindsight, considering severity of the crime, immediate threat posed, whether the suspect is resisting or fleeing federal law enforcement policy, DOJ/DHS. ICE officers follow Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and DOJ use of force policies, which are often stricter than constitutional minimums. Deadly force is permitted only when there is an imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm. No reasonable alternative exists. Retreat, cover, de-escalation. Force is necessary and proportional. Deadly force must not be used to punish, to stop a nonviolent offense. When the threat has passed. Vehicles as deadly weapons, critical issue. Courts recognize that a vehicle can be a deadly weapon, but not automatically. Deadly force may be justified only if the vehicle is being used directly and intentionally to strike officers or civilians. The officer cannot safely move out of the way. The threat is immediate, not speculative. Courts have repeatedly ruled shooting at a slow-moving or maneuvering vehicle is often unjustified. Shooting when the officer voluntarily places themselves in front of a vehicle is disfavored. Shooting after the vehicle is already passing is unlawful. How investigations evaluate such shootings. Investigators examine timing. Was the officer in danger at the exact moment shots were fired? Positioning. Could the officer step aside? Did the officer move into the vehicle's path? Speed and direction. Acceleration versus rolling movement. Toward officers or away. Intent. Evidence of deliberate attack versus escape attempt video evidence. Frame-by-frame analysis is often decisive. Qualified immunity, civil liability. Even if deadly force is questionable, officers may still avoid civil liability unless they violated clearly established law. However, clear video contradicting official claims can defeat qualified immunity. Federal officers can still face criminal or administrative discipline. Possible legal outcomes in cases like this. Justified use of force. Officer reasonably perceived imminent deadly threat. Policy violation, no criminal charge. Shooting lawful but against agency rules. Civil rights violation. Federal civil lawsuit under Bivens or FTCA. Criminal charges. Rare but possible if evidence shows no imminent threat. Why video matters so much. Modern courts heavily rely on video. Scott v. Harris, 2007. If video clearly contradicts an officer's account, courts favor what the video shows. Bottom line. Deadly force by ICE or any federal officer is legal only if a reasonable officer would believe death or serious injury was imminent. The threat existed at the moment of firing. No safer alternatives were available.